where did it go astray? The first 2 years, there was not, I mean, Jerry was doing the marketing and he was organizing TV stations and he was bringing the Blue Star, his own TV show, and everything right into the Cowboys facility. So we wouldn't have to go out. He was looking at how we could make a buck, changing the advertisement, all that stuff. And I can remember when it happened. It was our last year. It was a Super Bowl year. And traditionally we would head out for a jog around noon. And Jimmy always kind of wanted he believed that you got more done out in a social situation than you did sitting around a boardroom, because guys would relax a little bit, say some things that they might not say otherwise. And everybody, and we would still get it done. So we would take these jogs 2 or 3 days a week. We would run a couple miles and then walk back. And it was all football. Who we playing? What's going on? Was it draft? Was it summer training camp? Was it season? And we're heading out, getting ready to go. And Jimmy come walking out of the locker room, and he did his press conference right before this. And he walks out, and they're setting up tables and chairs all through this one press meeting area. And I can remember it like yesterday. Jimmy turned and was asking the guys who were setting it up, what's going on? And they said, Jerry's having a press conference. And he said, he is he? And had no idea. The week before that, I don't know if I think it might have been Troy. We turned the ball over 2 or 3 times. And one of the questions to Jimmy Johnson was, Troy Aikman had a couple turnovers. You know, is it? And Jimmy said, let me just say this, whether it's Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith, Jay Novacek, our tight end, if you turn the football over, we can't win and you're not going to play. Well, 2 hours later in the press conference, it comes out and they ask Jerry, you know, what do you think about? And he says, we're fine. There's, you know, basically there's not an issue. Well, that was the beginning of the end of all of a sudden there's more, you can only have one voice. And from that day on, you know, Jimmy just kind of had his guard up, and that's when Jerry started having his weekly press conferences, and he was serving steak. I remember that. He was serving the media steak. It was the best press conference in time to come. Half those guys come just to eat, but he filled the room. He filled the room.
Do you remember the moment Jimmy said, I can't do it anymore?
You know, it was interesting. After the second year, I was at the Bears. North Turner had just left. And remember the first part of this story now, our noon jogs. And we did these jogs at Pitt when Jimmy and I were assistants. We did these jogs at Oklahoma State. We did these jogs at University of Miami. So this was nothing new. This was he wanted to have his guys, his inner circles, he called them, get around him. And when I left, Norv left, Tony Wise, the line coach, left. We were out on Jimmy's boat, and we were down in Miami, and it was me and him and the wives and our attorney, and we were just sitting there, and we had been sipping a few Heinekens during the course of the past 10 hours, I think it was. And Jimmy said, you know, Dave, he said, boy, this is a challenge. You know, he says, fun of this thing is really, I'm really having a challenge with this. And he didn't go any deeper. And then I was we were up in Orlando at the league meetings, and that's when everything broke loose. Jimmy and Jerry had some words. We were at the meetings, and we used to sit together at all the NFL meetings. So I was waiting for him down by the lobby, and he came down and he had that look on his face. And I said, meeting's this way. And he says, not my meeting. And he was heading for the door, and he was driving a Corvette then. And he jumped in that Corvette and gone. And he left the meetings. And so I went in and I started saying, what happened? And that's when they said that, you know, the comment that Jerry made in front of the media that he could get 500 guys to coach the Dallas Cowboys and win a Super Bowl. And one of the media guys, or somebody, I'm not sure who, called up to Jimmy's room and said, well, you're missing a good one. Let me tell you what was said. So that kind of was, but I think at that point, Jerry believed that he could win, Colin, and do it without Jimmy Johnson. and Jimmy was the guy. If Jimmy wasn't going to be the guy and he wasn't going to be the voice, he wasn't going to share that with anybody.